Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for yet again another series review. I am not alone, and I can't believe I'm talking about Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday Addams from the Addams family. She's on our solo excursion. She's going to kind of a new high school called Nevermore, and she's literally the fish out of water, but maybe it might be for a good thing because murder, mayhem, and all the crazy things are right at her doorstep. So I'm going to introduce some of the cast members, or not necessarily the cast members, but the other hosts that are part of this. What's going on, Ty?
What is going on, good people?
Oh goodness, somebody's choking me. Yeah. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you, man.
No
And
doubt,
we
fam.
also have the queen that is Nat.
Hi. I want to snap all night. Like, I just want to snap.
Da-da-da-da.
So yeah, you guys, we are gonna keep our lips tight because we've seen the first 7 episodes of this season, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's really really good. We started watching it yesterday, got through what three episodes, and then we watched another 3 today, and I'm hooked. But I'm gonna let them kind of tell how their first perspective is going into it because what
It was 4 yesterday.
Yeah, it was
what
4. We got to episode. We went to episode 4, and then we did the last 3. Today.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, anyway, Nat, you first. Going into this
I'll go first.
show, what was your thoughts going into it, and then when you started to watch the first episode, how did you start to feel? What was the transition for you?
I was already intrigued with the trailer. I try not to see any more trailers, but the first like initial one teaser trailer, I was like, okay, we're bringing it into the 21st century or 22nd century, and we're bringing it to present day, and we're also focusing on Wednesday, who her character alone has always fascinated me just from the movies and just whatever little snippets of the Addams family that has been around for a minute. Just Wednesday has always been it. Growing up, I'm like, that's my girl. And so having her own show, Jenny Ortega, I immediately loved her as Wednesday. She definitely she gave me Wednesday. She gave me her essence. She gave me what is so fascinating about the Addams family and just her experiencing what she experiences on her own. I love this show. As it's been progressing, it's been action packed. A lot of stuff happens in each episode, and I'm just like, I want to keep watching. It's definitely along the veins of if Stranger Things and the Addams family kind of weirdly met, or even if like other like mystery shows that you have maybe watched, and just I love the show.
Oh goodness. Ty, what about you? Going into it, what were your thoughts going into it, and then kind of after looking at that first episode and being drawn in, where are you at with this?
So, I had my concerns because you never you mess with a good thing too many times, there's always going to be that potential that you're going to get. I always say you're going to get that Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, that really bad one where you kind of know you just kind of touched something that was so good too many times that you should have just kind of left it alone. So I was concerned. I did like the concept that it was Wednesday getting basically her own show, even though the entire Addams family was going to be there. They were going to focus on her. But I have to say, going into it, first off, shout out to Tim Burton.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
I mean, yes, this is his genre. This is the realm that he plays in. He has unfiltered access. This is the realm he's mastered. But beyond that, shout out to the cast. I grew up on, and what I love about the Addams family is Addams family transitions time. Like they've been around since TVs were just black and white. So I came into the Addams family in the 90s with, the incomparable Raul Julia, may he rest in peace, Miss Angelica Houston, and even Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester. I grew up on that.
Right.
But I mean, when I tell you that they have literally found and dubbed those to carry on the torch, Catherine Zeta-Jones is definitely the successor to Angelica Houston. The gentleman that plays Gomez Addams, his name is leaving me right now. He's definitely taken on that role from Raul Julia.
Luis Guzman.
Luis Guzman, thank you. That's his name. Of course, the young man that plays Pugsley, even with his little pieces, he does his thing as well. But I mean, of all the people who were to inherit such an iconic role that Christina Ricci has played with such passion and such grace by showing a lack of passion and lack of grace, Jenna Ortega is it.
Yes.
She is she is to the Addams family what your boy is to Superman.
Right.
Like the torch has been passed, and she has not only taken it, but she's ran with it like she's going to light the Olympic torch at the end of the run. She has it. I mean, she absolutely nails it every single time. Even the actor that plays Uncle Fester, I love. I actually love him as an actor, but for him to play this role and do it so well, it's almost like they just found the actor DNA trail for these characters, and they have all played their role incredibly. But Jenna Ortega, my God, she is without a shadow of a doubt the heir successor supreme for Wednesday. I mean, Christina Ricci, of course, will always be my Wednesday. But the blessing of this is we get to see Christina Ricci in it. And she also gets to show her breadth of acting, which made her so good as Wednesday. It's almost like Michael Keaton being concerned to him being Batman, and then you got to see his prowess in it. We're seeing that here with Ricci, but we're definitely seeing it with Jenna Ortega, and I love it. Absolutely love it. 100% in.
Yeah. So for me, like the concept of like Wednesday Addams, I was like, okay, this is an interesting concept, but it's weird to say this, and I'm gonna say it delicately. Netflix, when it comes to doing remakes or taking like a property and continuing it, sometimes it can be very hit or miss. And the past 2 years, they haven't really hit like really well. They've tried, but they haven't been able to really take a good legacy show or a legacy property and make it something that's fluidly going to work. So I was kind of like, I was worried, just like you guys were. Then I saw the first trailer. I was like, oh, wow, this could be rated R. This could be, violent and death, but at the same time, it could be kooky, it could be funny, and it could be very tonally what we remember from the 90s. So I was like, it could work. Then we got through looking at the first episode, and I was like, I immediately fell in love with the show. And I don't know if it was the way that it was shot, the way that it was scripted, the camera work, because they do something with the camera work in this. And I want to bring it up now because it's going to touch on why Jenna Ortega is almost like, I don't know what to call it. Like she's just embodying this in a way that I didn't think was possible. The camera, whenever she has certain slight eye movements or certain things that you can tell, you can feel off her like she's not pleased or she's ready to cut into somebody with her words. Like she nails every single time, but the camera is ready for her and those interactions every single time. And then they understand how to use camera work for action or for mystery, or even shooting behind her head and showing the thing that's in front of us. Like the camera work in this is amazing, but she's a genius in the level of understanding how to play a role in every way, shape, or possible. Like it's like she's giving honor to what Ricci did, but she's making this her own. Like I think that I would compare her to when Millie Bobby Brown played 11 season 1 of Stranger Things. Straight up. Like she's taking it and just like I think by the 3rd episode, I was like, man, can this girl end up getting an Emmy off of this? Because she's playing it perfectly. I don't know any other way to kind of put it. Like she is playing it to the point that I'm like, I can't imagine her in anything else. And when an actor or an actress can do something like that, like you've won me. Like she is killing it in this. We can't talk about the story, but we can talk about the atmosphere. So we're in a place where Nevermore has other outcasts. You may have a vampire, you may have a siren, you may have a werewolf, you may have, some other things. And some kind of a way, Wednesday fits right in, but at the same exact time, she does not. and I contribute that to the actress doing such a great job, but also, bro, the costumes. Nat, I want your perspective on that because she has so many different costumes and the design of making her fit in, but not. And it's not just the pigmentation of her face, but like way she dresses and way she carries herself. I was curious y'all's perspective on like the costume work and the design of Nevermore and her contrasting everyone around her.
This kind of also reminds me of Harry Potter. Just this world that you're introduced to, you want to kind of be in it. Because it's like you see the misfits, you see the different potential creatures that are featured in this show. It's kind of like you're expounding on the Addams family world. Like you got hints of it even in the first movie from the 90s and maybe even in the TV show years ago. But this really lets you know that there's history and that with the costuming, it's a typical prep school, but Wednesday's outfit is just her. Like she doesn't deviate from who she is at any point in this show, and
Right.
that's what you love about it. Like even with like certain elements of the school, even with the uniform, she makes it all black or some type of black and gray. Like she is not trying to do purple and black. Like no. Where we're doing black and white and just something that makes it her, but still makes sure that she's participating in what she needs to participate at minimum. And like even the social aspect of this school, like she doesn't care. And that's what I love about her. Like this is I just feel like we got to get credit to the writers too. The story that they've created for this season and just a way of introducing Wednesday and even the other characters and the Addams family that, again, we're bringing into present day, they get credit too as much as Tim Burton does, because the way that they've written this show, you're hooked. You want to know and figure things out with her. You want to root for her. You also want to root for some of the other characters that get introduced. You want to root for the Addams family. Like you want them to triumph over whatever obstacle is in their way in this show. And some of the, even the set design, I love the roommate room and Enid and just the way that they designed the room and the contrast, because even then it's kind of like she makes the room or her side of the room her own.
Yeah.
So yeah, this show, child. What they do with this show, I applaud them.
Yeah. And Ty, my question with you would be like, it's kind of like as knowing, what a good mark the 90s version, the two movies that came out, like how many people like, loved them. Do you think that this show not only added to that legacy, but it gave so much homage and callbacks to it? Because a lot of times we were kind of like, oh, wait, I remember this. We can't spoil any of this, you guys. We can't tell you. But Ty is a perfectionist at being able to tell stuff without revealing it. So I'm throwing him the alley-oop for that.
So I absolutely love when Easter eggs are dropped subtly without any kind of blatant hey, this is an Easter egg. And I will say this, um there is actually one Easter egg that they kind of put out there in a somewhat blatant way, but what I love is they give it purpose. Any Easter egg they drop in here has a subtle nod, but the ones that they really put out there that you're like, oh, they give it a back history and a purpose. So I thought that was amazing. There's actually one particular Easter egg, which I won't speak on what it is, but it's the one thing that has transcended every single version of the Addams family from the start. And now they've given it a back history and a backstory. And I think that is absolutely incredible. So I do like the subtle references. And I would even say that they are on the same level as Rings of Power dropping subtle references. Um, and it's not really a matter of just if you read the books, because the Addams family is mainly based on television shows and movies. But the way that they have the stellar level to which that they have dropped these little Easter eggs or nuggets that take you back to whatever your version of the Addams family is, whether you're young and this is your first introduction to it, whether you're our age in the 90s and the TV show, the color TV show and the movies were your introduction, or even the original where the black and white show was your introduction. There is something that calls back and touches each and every one of it and reminds you why this particular series has lasted as long as it has. So kudos to the writers for not only just dropping Easter eggs to drop Easter eggs, but also giving them all purpose, also giving them all reason. There's never, and I gotta step on this one again. There was just never a particular reason for this particular Easter egg, for this one thing that's transcended all of it. It was just a part of it. It was something we all accepted. We accepted it like the S on Superman's chest to mean Superman.
Oh
And
my
then in
God.
Man of Steel, we realize it's not an S. It's supposed to be a winding river that symbolizes hope. It's the crest of his house of El that means hope. A particular thing in this series now gives it that level of purpose and back history. So kudos to them for that. I absolutely love it. And if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to spoil it. So I don't want to.
Yeah, no, we'll deflect and do this. So we know that Tim Burton is behind this, and I'm glad that he is killing it. I mean, I think this is the second TV series he's ever done. And just his touch to it adds so much gravity to the tone. Because the very first thing you see is the image you're watching right here, and how that plays out sets the tone for the deaths and the hecticness of everything. But there's a balance to it, and the one balance that I'm gonna try to see if I can find a picture of it is in one individual, and that individual is the heart and soul of this. As much as this is a weird thing about it, because Gina is doing such a great job of acting off of nothing. Now, maybe they have somebody in a green screen suit with a hand out there, but they have great chemistry and she works with this thing so well. But he is so loving and he is a ride or die and he's got so much personality. It is ridiculous how much I've fallen all the way back in love with Thing all over again, to the point that we get to the back half episodes and I'm like, yo, this is insane. Like how much they've added to him as a character. I wanted y'all's perspective on it because we haven't touched on the other characters, but I was like, we have to bring up Thing. Got
to. Thing. Whoever's playing Thing, whether it's an animatronic, I don't care. Whoever's controlling this land, I've always loved Thing, even from the movies. Like he's always been like loyal to the Addams family. It's kind of like you actually want to know where he came from. Like you want to know this hand's history. I don't even know if it's a left hand or a right hand. I don't know. But what I do know is I love Thing. He was such a great addition. He was also a good companion to Wednesday, and just his personality, like you said, Sam. I loved it. His sarcasm and just I loved everything about it. Like even though he has like it seems like he got a little bit of a makeover, because I remember from the movies he wasn't as cadaverous as he is in this, but I don't care. I still love it.
Yeah, he's gone through some things. Trying to cut him up a couple times. He maybe lost a finger and had to reattach it. But Ty, what was your take on Thing?
I'm here trying to figure out how many times y'all gonna throw the word thing in here like it ain't gonna be like it ain't puns. But I mean, the one thing that is consistent, and the one thing I find that they have always kept consistent, even through the original show, because I did, after watching the movies, I did go back to the original show wherever I can find it and watch it, and you know, the movies and where we are now. Thing has always been beloved. Thing has always been the true heart and soul of the Addams family. Thing is the one thing that bonds the family together. You know, if there's one central figure that does it, that has his, for lack of a better word, finger on the pulse of the Addams family, it's Thing. And in this series, he's no different. And for the record, Nat, he is a right hand. And now I'm interested to go back and see if he's ever played the left hand as well. I don't recall. But whichever hand he's dealt, he plays that hand well. So Thing has been absolutely incredible in this series so far. Shout out to him. I actually do love that Tim Burton has put his own spin on him, like you said, in terms of how he looks. He hasn't changed his spirit. He hasn't changed the kind of person he is, because he wants the Addams family to be happy. But he's also willing, he wants every single member of the Addams family to be happy, even Lurch. But what he also wants is he wants them to be happy in their own way. He understands them, each of them, in their own way. And it's no different in this series. He understands Wednesday. And what he does with his interactions with Wednesday in this series just continues to solidify the fact that no matter how he looks, and this is probably my favorite version of him, because he looks like he's been through some stuff to be an animated hand by himself. Like it wasn't just a random hand that got severed and they brought back to life, and he's a very nice, clear, clean hand that's scurrying all over the place like the movies. He's actually got some stitches and stuff in there, as you saw in that other image. And I absolutely love that. It's Tim Burton. It's like, I'm not changing the soul of Thing, but I am going to put my own little spin on it. So he's showing the stitches. He's showing that. And it gives to me more depth to Thing. Like Thing has been through some stuff. You know, you don't get the clean hand like the movies. You see, like Thing is willing to get into the dirt because he's been in it already to do for the Addams family. And I absolutely love that about him here. He's doing this. He's doing his thing.
You said Thing more than me in that.
Oh, I mean, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna just go all the way in. So,
oh man. So yeah, last but not least is that in a show about Wednesday, you know, in the very first few episodes, like the other Addams family members aren't there. So it's kind of like, how do you build off of a story on just Wednesday? It's a fish out of water situation. Like she has to thrive in a place where she doesn't emotionally connect with people. So how do you do that? You center around a murder mystery. Then you add in murder mystery around a house of people that have supernatural abilities and capabilities. But then the crazy thing about that, it's not like any character is like a throwaway. Like you got Gwendolyn Christie, You got in
Oh,
this
I can't wait to
as
talk about her. Yeah.
as the freaking principal of this, Nevermore, and she's got layers to her. She's got things that are disconnecting and connecting to Wednesday and the Addams family that you wouldn't perceive that that'd be the case. And that's every single character, all the different students that interact with Wednesday. When you get to maybe like what episode 5, you don't know who to trust, but you're also invested in the relationships. And I think that's the thing that is really good about the writing is that it's not just like, oh yeah, Wednesday finds love. Like, no, Wednesday has to connect with other people. She doesn't do that, but other people want to connect with her because they're outcasts too. So it makes for all the different characters to have arcs. And I think that that's where it reminds me of Stranger Things. Stranger Things, like you take a character like Dustin, like, oh man, we love Dustin. There's a character like Dustin in this, and he just loves bees. Like he's got a fixation on bees, which is cool. But I'm saying that they use that and they run with it and they connect it to what's the heart and core of the Addams family is, family. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just interesting using Wednesday in this capacity because she never had to care about those kind of things. So I was wondering y'all's perspective on the other characters and how they're using the other characters and fleshing them out to make you care about how the show goes.
Go ahead, Nat.
Nat, go for it.
I feel like I should be getting dating tips for Wednesday. Like, I don't know what it is. Which is sad. But but I started caring about Enid, her roommate, just all the characters that got introduced, even her supposed bully, like I started caring about her. Like, especially with the relationship dynamics that were going on. I'm just like, and of course, you gotta root for anybody black in the show. Like, it's just natural. But I was like, man, why she gotta be a bully? But then she got layers to her too. Like, right. I'm just right. Even with Gwendolyn Christie's character, the principal of the school, her layers just the history of Nevermore that you kind of like see or learn as you go through the series here. Definitely even the sheriff, just even the town of Jericho and the significance, the connections, the history. It's like there are stakes. Right. And it's like you are worried, like, because you want people to live, like you don't want to think that they may be involved in some way, shape, or form in this mystery, but you have to like really be realistic and be like, oh snap,
right?
Who are you really?
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating to me because like you said, like Wednesday, people are just drawn to her, whether it's romantically or just they're kind of like annoyed by her because she's very good. Even though she's, emotionally disconnected, she's a perfectionist. Like she knows almost nearly everything. And she doesn't flaunt it, but when the time comes, she will use it to cut you. No pun intended. But it makes for really good character interactions. And Ty, I was curious, you said you wanted to talk about Gwendolyn Christie's character, but is there any other characters you want to bring up too?
So yeah, there are a couple other characters I want to bring up, but I got to start with Gwendolyn Christie, and it's not really more so Gwendolyn Christie as the character Larissa Weems. It's the fact that her width and breadth and depth as an actress has basically skyrocketed into the stratosphere since we all basically connected with her as Brianna Tarth in Game of Thrones. Right. And I mean, she just hasn't stopped. She's gone from Brianna Tarth in Game of Thrones to Captain Phasma in Star Wars The Last Jedi to Lucifer Morningstar in The Sandman. And now she's here as Larissa Weems in Wednesday. And I mean, what I also love with all these characters is these characters have so much depth that honestly you couldn't put this kind of depth for these characters into one movie. I mean, every single character you meet along the way, even if you have established who they are, even if you've established Wednesday, like this is a basically dark version of Harry Potter. Think of your darkest version of Harry Potter, which for me is either Prisoner of Azkaban or Order of the Phoenix, and just multiply that by 35.
Yeah.
You've got Wednesday. I mean, clearly, as you see in this picture, you've got Harry Potter and you've got Ron Weasley.
Right.
Okay. The lady, the black girl that plays the siren, that's clearly our Malfoy. You know, we've got characters for each. Eugene is basically Neville Longbottom. Let's be real. It's but what all these characters have so much depth because they find ways to make them. They show you their vulnerabilities. That's what ties us to them. Like, oh, you're a jerk, but here's why you're a jerk. Oh, you just want to belong. You're excited about something no one else is interested in, but here's why you want to belong. Here's what it is. Oh, you're overly bubbly and want to be friendly to everybody, but here's why that is, right? Here's what this is. And that's what I love about this. All the characters, even the characters you see here, except old girl with the glasses. The other two characters here start to get truly fleshed out. And it's not an immediate reveal. It's you see the character, you get a little background to get under their skin as to why they are, even if it's a little bit, as to what may lead them to be the people they are. Then there are other external forces that they're not expecting that feeds off of their despair of the background situations that they're dealing with, the internal emotional stuff they're dealing with. And it's just done so well. It's done so well. Even with the beef, and even with the animosity, and even with the competitions, and even with the dislike for each other, you end up at certain points cheering for each of these characters at some way, shape, or form, because you're fully vested because of how their stories have been fleshed out. So kudos to the writers for it, and kudos to Tim Burton for directing and giving you great camera production, transition, and movements to bring that depth of those characters out.
I do want to add that what's so great about this is even as you're getting to know these characters, this does not take away from the development of Wednesday. Like, you are still getting character development for her and through her connections with these characters, but also seeing where these other characters can go on their own outside of Wednesday, but still make it interesting enough that you don't mind staying with them for a few minutes while Wednesday's off doing something. Like, some of the conversations that are had outside and she's not even in the scene, I've liked those too. Like, I've enjoyed them, and I just wanted to add that. Like, again, that's a credit to the writers.
Great point. You're absolutely right. And I don't think we would get that development of Wednesday without the development of the other characters. Because like Sam said, she's dealing with her biggest challenge, which is emotional connection. And if you're not understanding, or if you're sitting there wondering, well, why does she even have to connect with these people? You're not going to do that unless you know more about them.
Right.
So I think it's great.
Yeah, the writer's just so good. And I'm just gonna lay it out like this. We're gonna give you guys our rating of this from 1 out of 10. But for me, I'll go first. I think this is a 10 out of 10. This is a hybrid of Stranger Things and BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. I love the mystery aspect of trying to guess who and what's going to happen, what's the next death. But then I actually care about the characters. I care about the family legacy. I care about the expansion of the characters and the world they're building. I haven't even finished the season yet, and I want a second season immediately. Like it needs to be greenlit very, very quickly because low key, this may be my second favorite series on Netflix because Stranger Things kind of came out of nothing. This is coming from an actual property everybody knows, which is harder. And something I'm trying to think of another property Netflix has taken that's come from the past and redone it. Maybe Lost in Space might be the only one that I can think of that was really successful. But this is gonna hit hard with people. I think some people are really gonna love this. So for me, it's a 10 out of 10. Closing thoughts and ratings for you guys.
I would give a solid like 9.5 only because this first season is so good. I am concerned about how they're going to follow up with this. Like I don't know how they're going to pull that off and how they're going to bring a really good second season when this one is so good. And we haven't even seen the finale. Because I haven't seen the finale, I would probably give it a 10/10. But for now, it's definitely like a 9.5, which is close. Yeah.
Matt really wants to give it a 10 out of 10 because I'm like,
Yeah,
you got
like
one episode to go, Matt.
it's 10/10 pending once we see the finale.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ty, what about you, man? Closing thoughts and rating.
All right, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think you all are selling this show short, but only with Nat do I understand why. But still, for me, it's not about the second season. For me, it's the final episode. We haven't seen that yet. So at this point, where it is right now, I'm going to follow Nat and give it a 9.5 out of 10. However, if the final episode ends in a fantastic way as all these other episodes have, I'm not even giving it a 10 out of 10. I'm giving it an 11. It's first time. I'm just going off the chart with it because to take something like Sam said, to take a franchise that has been well established to the point where there's really no reason to touch it and to bring something fresh and new to the Addams family universe, even though it's built off of other things like Harry Potter, like Knives Out, like, all the murder mystery stuff, all the dark stuff, Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Like, to be able to take little bits of that and give it its own fresh breath of air by taking one character and the one character, honestly, I think that you could at any point give their own series. Like I wouldn't be able to see how they would do that with the other characters because the other characters rely on each other. Pugsley relies on Wednesday. Morticia relies on Gomez and vice versa. Lurch relies on the entire family. So does Uncle Fester. And so does Thing. Although Thing has a possibility he could branch out there a bit, but it's very few characters that you could take and just give them their own and they can stand on their own. And for me, this particular show, this is the route that was the best way to go. So I'm putting a asterisk on it, 9.5 asterisk out of 10. But if that final episode is as fire as I expect it to be, you can just know right now, my final verdict will be 11 out of 10. I'm just putting it out there. But if the final episode is trash, I'm leaving it at 9.5 because one episode can't crush the other episodes that have built it to this point. But I put an asterisk in my 9.5. If that final episode is fire, I'm literally taking it off the chart. I'm turning it up to 11 because it's just that good.
Oh man. Yeah, dude. I just had so much fun watching it, man. I could easily go back and rewatch episodes And you can't do that with certain shows. Some shows you're like, we'll watch in the group. I might low key go back and start looking at these again. But yeah, you guys don't want to miss it. It is going to be dropping November the 23rd, 2022. If they happen to drop it earlier, we will let you guys know. But this is not one you want to miss from Netflix. They definitely hit it home. But yeah, I appreciate my other co-hosts here, partners in crime. Ty, where can everybody find you, man?
Oh, you know the deal. You can find me TYNIDDY on Instagram. I ain't gonna give you the whole thing. I did that on another video.
Matt, our expert, social media and everything in between. Where can everybody find you? Oh no.
You're muted. You're muted, Nat. Muted.
Shame.
Oh no,
Shame.
sorry. You can find me on social media with TeamJVS, on all forms of social media. Personal Twitter is Willcat12. Same thing with Instagram. TikTok is Nat Willie, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where you can find me because I'm here, guys. We are here, and we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go. We've been talking about this for 40 minutes, which I can't believe. We will give a send off with a snap. Okay, peace, guys. I can't do it with my left hand.
Okay,
I did it.
You did it.
Falling out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.